Hey everybody, how you doing this evening? I was asked to make a short video here for you, probably between 5 and 10 minutes, to discuss the two golden principles that you hear me talk about, whether you've heard me mention it in a class, a recent post, or a video like this. And those two principles for me are remembering where you came from and looking out for your people. When I was in the military and I was moving up the ranks, I used to hear that all the time. Anytime I would get a promotion, people would shake my hand and say, "Hey, congratulations, Serge, but remember two things. Always look out for your people and remember where you came from." I heard that time and time again in the military, and I brought that into the fire service with me, especially as a company officer. So again, somebody asked if I would be able to just kind of elaborate on those two principles and what I do every day to try to live by those, to give very specific examples of what I do. So that's what I'm going to do here for you today. The first thing, looking out for your people. For me, number one, and I'll keep looking down at some notes here because I want to make sure I cover everything. The first thing for me is the professional development and welfare of my crew. That is my absolute number one priority when I walk through the firehouse every day. It is no longer about me, it is about them. My crew, they are what's the most important to me when I walk through those firehouse doors. I think that if you are a company officer out there and you are not taking time to mentor and develop your people, if you only show up and you're only visible when the brass hits for a call, when it's time to eat, maybe they could find you in your bunker or your office, you are committing the ultimate company officer sin, and you are not worthy of the trumpets that are on your collar. That's just what I believe. So welfare and development of your crew is the number one way that you could look out for your people. You know, show them that you want them to go home to see their families. That is your ultimate goal as a company officer, is make sure every one of your people goes home. Yes, stuff happens that people don't always make it, but that is your goal. It's nice to have everyone goes home all over your apparatus doors, the bay doors, stickers on your car and on your lockers. Those are all great things, but don't just tell them everyone goes home. Show them everybody goes home with your actions. Train them, mentor them, give a damn about their professional development. If you don't, again, there is no room for that with any company officer anywhere in our fire service. It is no longer about you, it is about that crew. The other thing, when I look out for my people, is I push them and I try to hold them to high standards. I try to hold myself to a high standard. I will push them to do the same, knowing that I will never ask them to do anything that I wouldn't have done or will do myself. So the last part of that is hold them accountable. Back them up, but hold them accountable. All right. Looking out for your people doesn't just mean shrouding them and hiding things and sweeping things under the rug. All right. Looking out for your people means doing all those things I've talked about before, but if they make a mistake, they take responsibility and you hold them accountable. That will ultimately play into their professional development and their growth. So those are the things that I live by. I certainly try to live by every day as a company officer when I look out for my people. I truly look out for them. They are my priority when I come to the station. The next one is remembering where you came from. And based off where you're at in your career, your life experience, this is going to be different for everybody. And I'll just share with you mine and how I remember where I come from and what helps me stay grounded. The first thing is, it doesn't matter how successful you may think you get. It doesn't matter how successful I may think I get. I didn't get here by myself. People have helped me along the way for me to fall in the position that I'm in today. There's people in my fire department right now, they're in my head right now, that I owe them the trumpets on my collar. Their mentorship, their guidance, their advice, their training, the standards that they held me to every day, that is what led me to where I'm at right now. The other thing is, remember there was a day when you didn't know anything. So if people are dealing with certain circumstances or issues, anything that happens in the day-to-day operations of a fire department, if they seem completely lost, take a step back and remember, you know what, if you were in this position before, help them, but remember when you were in that position, you may have been also maybe even clueless as well. So remember there was a day that you didn't know anything, and think about that when you're making your decisions and talking and interacting with people. The other thing is, listen to what they have to deal with. Don't forget what it's like to deal with the things that they're dealing with as firefighters. For me, I'm in a combined fire and EMS system. So that means the majority of what we're doing is EMS. 80% of our calls are medical calls. Our ambulances are running out of the door all day, every day, nonstop. All right, before I was promoted, I rode the ambulance as well. So I would be a fool to just move into a company officer position and just forget about all that and say, hey, you all deal with that. That's no longer my job. That's your responsibility, not mine. That's the wrong answer. You need to remember what it was like for you when patients, when you were dealing with patients in the back of the ambulance become unruly. You need to remember what it's like to have those interactions at the hospitals where the nurses and the doctors you were button heads with them, and your firefighters are button heads with them. Right, wrong, or indifferent, you just need to make sure you remember what that was like. I think that's extremely important. If you have the ability, it wouldn't hurt to throw yourself back on that ambulance every once in a while. One, it'll keep your skills fresh, but it'll let you know what's going on out there. You get to feel the pulse of what's happening on the day-to-day operations of your fire department. It's easy to get removed from that kind of stuff, and to simply just tell somebody, well, just deal with that. That's your job. That's what you get paid to do. It's simply not enough. You're going to shut people down if you say that. You need to be empathetic towards the situation that you were once in before. So the last thing is, you're no better than anybody else. Right? I'm no better than anybody else. I'm not better than anybody else in my crew. That is absolutely the wrong way of thinking. I'm just in a different position, and now I'm in a position to look out for them. So those are the things that help me. That's how I try to remember where I came from, is to be empathetic to what's going on with them. Remember what it was like to work in the same shoes that they were working in, whether it's on an ambulance, a different unit or a company or anything like that. Remember what it was like for you when you were there, and think about that when you're making your decision. When you're making your decisions. So again, I hope that helps to explain it a little bit. I don't know if I did a good job, but I certainly try to do my best for you. But once again, if you're watching this and you are that person who feels like, I just don't have that mentor, I don't have anybody that's helping coach me into preparing to be a company officer, I would say, one, take individual responsibility and try to make yourself the expert at getting prepared. Do things, take classes, reach out to people outside your department if you have to. Do everything you can to prepare. And when you find yourself in that position and you feel like you weren't able to get everything you needed from people, I would say follow those two golden principles, and I think you're going to be halfway there. So never ever forget where you came from, and look out for your people every single day. Thanks, everybody.